New York was already a loser state. Like California is a loser state. There are many loser states because of policy, high taxes, uncompetitive regulation. It was already on the top of the list of being a loser state. I would never invest in New York now, and I'm not the only person saying that. Do you think any foreign institution or any private equity firm or any pension fund would touch New York? No. And that's why New Yorkers should be concerned. The fine people of New York should ask themselves, why are we such a loser state? How are we going to attract business? It's not just the existing businesses that are fleeing out to Texas and Florida. What about new money like this that I'm talking about, like a $4 billion data center? Not a chance I would put that in New York. Zero probability, never. And so they've got a lot of work to do to find themselves getting out of this situation. This has all occurred post-pandemic. Winner states versus loser states. Look at Tennessee right now, fastest growing city in America, Nashville. Winner state, good policy, competitive taxes. You've got to start thinking about this in the context of winners and losers. New York, mega loser state.
The steady exodus of Wall Street banks and big tech firms from California and New York over the past several years has cost the states nearly $1 trillion apiece in managed assets, according to a new analysis by Bloomberg News. The departure of companies has drained the two states of thousands of high-paying jobs, further burdening city and state finances by sapping tax revenue. Commercial property markets have also suffered under the weight of the sudden exit of the finance industry. At the same time, they are struggling to find new tenants amid the surge in remote work. Not only businesses are leaving California and New York, a growing number of Americans are also migrating to places like Florida and Texas, according to a Bank of America. New York City posted a big population decline, losing about 1% of its population in early 2023 and 3% in the prior 2 years.
You often hear news about companies moving south, from states like California and New York to the Sun Belt states like Texas and Florida. Now there's hard data to quantify how much money has shifted south from the East and West Coast. Bloomberg News sifted in filings of investment firms and found that both California and New York lost firms that managed $1 trillion in assets over the past 3 years. Florida was the top spot for investment firms leaving New York City. Big names that left for the Sunshine State include Ken Griffin Citadel and Icon Capital Management. Texas gets most of the traffic of money managers leaving California. Charles Schwab relocated from California to a Dallas suburb in 2021, and Canyon Partners opened up a new office in Dallas in 2021. We also had Fisher Investments relocate its headquarters from Washington State to a Dallas suburb earlier this year. And there's plenty of finance firms that are continuing to expand in the Dallas area. Both Goldman Sachs and Wells Fargo are building new towers in the Dallas area. Why are businesses moving south? They're coming for economic reasons, like a business-friendly environment, less regulations, lower taxes, and more affordable housing.
Jordan Belfort is with us. He's the man known as the Wolf of Wall Street. Jordan, what do you think about that decision? Would you invest in New York City?
Well, it's a little bit more nuanced, my position. So as a New Yorker born and bred, it's sad because I think he's right that there are things that are happening and have been happening in New York to make it a so-called loser state financially, high taxes, the exodus because of that and so forth. But I think that here's the deal. If you're on the right and, you want to be vocal about it, you really should be very careful before you invest in New York State.
Oh, on the right, politically?
Right, politically, right? On the right side, because, they're obviously coming after you. Now, I think that keeps ratcheting up. If you want to be on the right and vocal about it, then you really should not invest. And if you want to run for office on the right, then get out and never look back.
Forget about it.
I think but if you're on the left, I think, hey, there might be other pressures driving prices down because people on the right are going to be very hesitant. But you got to be really careful. If you're on the right side of the aisle politically, this is weaponizing, justice. It's obvious and everyone knows it. So it's patently ridiculous.
So you're saying flat out, the courts in New York City are heavily politicized against people who are conservative.
Well, I'm hoping that when it gets to the appeals court, this gets overturned because it's just so ridiculous in every way. But yes, at this level, obviously politicized. And
nobody lost any money.
No one lost money. The banks made money.
Everybody made money.
It's just honestly, and even the amount is just bears no relation to anything that sembles reality. So you know, it's patently ridiculous.
He's got to come up with $450 million in 30 days, and no bank that does business in New York can lend him the money.
Right.
Every bank does business in New York.
Yeah, he'll find the money. I mean, I have no doubt he's not going to sit and let them take his property. So he'll find the money somehow, and he's going to win at some level here or at the Supreme Court, because the whole thing is utterly ridiculous. And, you know, again, he keeps going up in the polls because everyone knows how ridiculous it is. So these attacks, whether it's from here, whether it's in Georgia, anywhere else, they make him stronger. He's a tough guy, for sure.
He is.
We have to post the bond, which is the full amount and some, and we will be prepared to do that. They picked the wrong guy to pick on, in my opinion, because he's strong, he's resilient, and he happens to have a lot of cash.
As his lawyer said, Donald Trump is not going down without a fight. The former president vowing to appeal the ruling in his New York City fraud trial that resulted in a staggering $355 million fine and banned him from operating a business in the city for 3 years.